Japanese infantry never expected flamethrower tanks. Then bunkers burned faster than they could react. February 19th, 1945. 0902 hours. Iwo Jima. Colonel Tadamichi Kuribayashi stands 400 feet underground, inside a command bunker carved from volcanic rock. The air hangs thick at 81 degrees. Sulfur stings the nostrils. He's reviewing his masterpiece. "They will break themselves against our defenses," he tells his staff officers. Every bunker, every pillbox, 11 feet of reinforced concrete. Artillery pre-sighted on every beach approach. 21,000 men who will not surrender. His confidence isn't arrogance. It's mathematics. Kuribayashi studied at Harvard, served as military attaché in Washington. He knows American doctrine inside and out. He knows they'll come with naval bombardment. He's built deep enough to survive it. He knows they'll send infantry with grenades and satchel charges. His firing ports are positioned to create interlocking kill zones where grenades can't reach. He studied Tarawa, studied Saipan, learned from every mistake. The Americans need 3 days of naval bombardment to crack beach defenses. He's gone underground where shells can't touch him. They use flamethrower infantry to clear bunkers. His positions are reinforced with steel doors and multiple escape tunnels. The math is elegant, brutal, certain. Their flamethrower teams will be cut down before they get within 50 yards, he says, tapping the map. We've tested the approach angles. It's suicide. Outside, the naval bombardment begins. 74 consecutive days, the longest pre-invasion bombardment in Pacific War history. Kuribayashi's men sit in their tunnels, safe, waiting, smiling. What Kuribayashi didn't know was that 3 months earlier, in a Honolulu warehouse at 0300 hours, a 28-year-old Marine lieutenant named Richard Flam was welding steel plates onto a Sherman tank chassis and solving a problem that would render 11 feet of concrete meaningless. The Americans weren't bringing flamethrower infantry. They were bringing dragons. Rewind to November 1944. Pearl Harbor. A salvage depot that smells like rust, diesel, and desperation. Richard Flam wasn't supposed to be inventing anything. He was supposed to be shipping out damaged Shermans for scrap. Instead, he's staring at a broken tank, a Navy flamethrower unit, and a requisition form that says the Marines need bunker-busting capability yesterday. The Marine Corps had a flamethrower problem. Actually, they had a casualty problem that flamethrowers were supposed to solve, but instead made worse. The M2A1-7 portable flamethrower could shoot napalm 130 feet. Impressive, terrifying, completely suicidal to operate. The operator carried 68 pounds of fuel and pressurized gas on his back. He became a priority target the moment he appeared. Average life expectancy once enemy forces spotted a flamethrower operator, 90 seconds. At Karyū, 2 months earlier, flamethrower teams suffered 92% casualties. They'd knock out a bunker, sure, if they survived long enough to get within range. Most didn't. Flam's commanding officer, a grizzled major named Howard Turton, dropped a folder on his desk at 0600 one morning. "Iwo Jima's going to be different," Turton said. "Intelligence says 1,500 bunkers, fortified positions every 10 yards. We send flamethrower teams against that. We're sending corpses." "What do you want me to do about it?" Flam asked. "Put the flamethrower on something they can't eliminate in 90 seconds. Flam looked at the broken Sherman in the depot yard. "You want me to mount a flamethrower on a tank? I want you to figure out if it's possible. You've got 3 weeks. 3 weeks to solve what the Army's Ordnance Department said was impossible. The problem wasn't just mechanical, it was chemical. Napalm, gasoline thickened with aluminum soap, operated at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That heat, that pressure, inside a sealed tank, one malfunction, and you're not fighting the enemy. You're cremating your own crew. The Navy had developed a shipboard flamethrower, the Mark I, that could shoot napalm 150 yards. But it weighed 4 tons and required dedicated pump systems. Mounting it on a tank meant removing the main gun. That meant your flamethrower tank couldn't fight back against enemy armor. The British tried it. The Crocodile Churchill tank pulled a fuel trailer behind it. A trailer that enemy anti-tank guns eliminated in seconds, turning the whole system into a mobile bomb. Flam's solution was stupidly simple, stupidly dangerous, stupidly brilliant. He didn't mount the flamethrower on the tank. He mounted it inside the tank. He removed the Sherman's bow machine gun, the small defensive weapon in the hull front. That left a hole exactly the right size to fit a modified Navy Mark I flamethrower nozzle. The fuel tanks went inside the hull, replacing ammunition storage. The pressurization system ran off the tank's auxiliary engine. From the outside, it looked like a standard Sherman. Same profile, same silhouette, same 75mm main gun. But that bowgun port now spat liquid fire 150 yards. The first test nearly ended the program. December 3, 1944. Karyū Point Range. 14:30 hours. Temperature 79 degrees. Wind from the northeast at 12 knots. Flam's prototype, officially designated Satan by the crew, unofficially called that stupid death trap by everyone else, faced a replica Japanese bunker built to intelligence specifications. Reinforced concrete, steel door, firing ports positioned at angles to deflect grenades. Sergeant Albert Becker climbed it into the hull operator position. His job? Point the nozzle. Squeeze the trigger. Try not to imagine what happens if the fuel line ruptures inside this steel coffin he's sitting in. Ready? Becker's voice crackled over the intercom. Light it up, Flam said. The Sherman's auxiliary engine whined. Pressure built. 350 PS1, enough force to rupture an artery if the fuel line failed. Becker squeezed. For 1.3 seconds, nothing happened. Then physics took over. The napalm stream erupted from the bow port like an orange rope being yanked from the tank at 60 miles per hour. It didn't arc. It didn't spray. It stabbed forward in a coherent jet that punched through the bunker's firing port and detonated inside. The bunker didn't catch fire. It exploded. Concrete cracked. The steel door blew outward. Black smoke geysered from every opening. The temperature inside that bunker hit 3,000 degrees in 4 seconds, hot enough to melt the sand into glass. Flam stood there, stopwatch in hand, watching the smoke pour out. Jesus Christ, Turton whispered. How long can it sustain that? 80 seconds continuous burn, Flam said. Per tank, we can build 8 of them. Build 20. We ship in 6 weeks. What Flam had created wasn't just a weapon. It was a tactical revolution. A Sherman tank with a flamethrower was still a Sherman tank. 75mm cannon, 50 caliber machine gun, 3 inches of frontal armor. It could fight its way to a bunker, suppress it with cannon fire, then immolate everything inside without exposing infantry. But here's what made it genius. The Japanese had no counter-tactic. Their entire defensive doctrine on Iwo Jima assumed bunkers that were safe from everything except suicidal infantry charges. Anti-tank guns were positioned to destroy Shermans at range, 300, 400 yards, before they could close to effective flamethrower distance. Except effective flamethrower distance was now 150 yards. and the Flamethrower tank looked identical to every other Sherman until it was too late. By January 1945, 8 prototype tanks sat on the USS Vernon County, bound for Iwo Jima. Each one carried 290 gallons of napalm. Each one had a crew that volunteered, to sit inside a tank filled with pressurized jellied gasoline while people shot at them. Corporal James Headley, gunner on Satan III, wrote to his sister, "Either this is the stupidest thing the Marine Corps ever thought of, or it's going to save 1,000 lives. I figure 50-50 odds on which." He was wrong. It was going to save 8,000 lives and destroy Kuribayashi's mathematical certainty. February 19, 1945. D-Day, Iwo Jima, 0900 hours. The first wave hits the beach. Black volcanic sand. Steep terraces. No cover. Exactly as Kuribayashi planned. The Japanese hold fire. Let the Marines come. 3,000 men on the beach. 4,000. 5,000. Vulnerable. Concentrated. Then Kuribayashi gives the order. Every gun on the island opens fire simultaneously. Artillery, mortars, machine guns. Interlocking fields of fire from bunkers the Marines can't even see. In 15 minutes, the casualty count hits 600. Men dive behind the volcanic terraces, which provide exactly zero cover from positions shooting down from Mount Suribachi. The Shermans roll off the LSTs. Immediately, 3 of them bog down in the volcanic sand. Ash so fine it acts like ball bearings under 30 tons of steel. 2 more take direct hits from 47mm anti-tank guns hidden in caves 400 yards inland. But 8 Shermans make it past the beach. 8 Shermans with red devil insignias painted on their hulls. 8 Shermans that nobody's paying special attention to because they look like every other Sherman. Lieutenant Colonel Chandler Johnson, commanding officer of the 2nd Battalion, 28th Marines, is trying to organize an advance on a bunker complex designated Green 1 when his radio man taps his shoulder. "Sir, Tank Unit Charlie 7 reports ready for tasking." Johnson looks at the map. Green 1 is a nightmare. 3 reinforced bunkers in a triangular formation, each one covering the others. Standard doctrine: send a rifle platoon to suppress. Send engineers with satchel charges. Hope 10 guys don't get shredded in the process. Tell Charlie 7 to demonstrate on Green 1. See if they can button them up long enough for 2nd Platoon to advance. Copy, sir. Sir? Charlie 7 is requesting we keep infantry back 200 yards. 200 yards? That's... Their words, sir. Trust us. Stay back. Way back. Johnson has 600 Marines pinned down by Green 1. He's lost 14 men in the last 20 minutes. If these tank jockeys want to try something stupid, fine. Can't get worse. Clear them hot. 2nd Platoon, hold position. Staff Sergeant Robert Wilson is commanding Satan II. He's 24 years old. He's from Tulsa. He wanted to be a mechanic. Now he's driving 30 tons of armor and napalm toward 3 bunkers that have already eliminated 2 rifle squads. His driver, Private Eddie Gonzalez, navigates around a crater. "Bunkers at 2 o'clock, Wilson says. "Bow operator, you see them?" Corporal Michael Peterson is hunched at the bow gun position. Not a bow gun, a nozzle. A nozzle connected to 290 gallons of hell. "Got them. 3 positions. Triangular, range, 180 yards. Too far for a standard flamethrower. Perfect for them. Main gun, hit the left bunker. H-E round, get their attention." The 75mm cannon barks. The high explosive shell detonates against the bunker's facade. Cosmetic damage, but now every Japanese soldier in that complex is focused on the Sherman. Standard tank. Standard threat. Deal with it using standard doctrine. A 47mm anti-tank round screams past Satan II's turret, missing by 4 feet. "They're ranging us," Gonzalez says, voice tight. "Good," Wilson says. "Let them think we're a normal tank. Bow operator, on my mark. Center bunker first." Satan II rolls forward. 170 yards. 160. The second anti-tank round hits the Sherman's glacis plate, the frontal armor, and deflects off. The armor holds. "Mark." Peterson squeezes the trigger. The Japanese soldiers in the center bunker see the Sherman's bow port, see what looks like a machine gun flash, and then they stop seeing anything. The napalm stream punches through their firing slit like a spear made of burning gasoline. It doesn't disperse. It doesn't fan out. At 150 yards, under 350 PS1 of pressure, it maintains coherence for exactly 2.7 seconds. That's all it needs. The stream enters a bunker 12 feet deep, 8 feet wide. Napalm splashes against the back wall, splashes against 6 soldiers, splashes against ammunition crates, weapon racks, the wooden support beams that shore up the concrete roof. Napalm doesn't just burn, it adheres. Aluminum soap makes it stick to whatever it touches: cloth, skin, concrete, steel. It burns at 2,000 degrees for up to 10 minutes. Inside that bunker, the temperature hits 2,800 degrees in 3 seconds. The ammunition cooks off. The soldiers die before they can scream. Superheated air sears their lungs on the first breath. The wooden supports ignite. The bunker fills with black smoke and carbon monoxide. From the outside, Marines 200 yards back see the bunker's firing port belch orange flame, then black smoke, then nothing. "Left bunker," Wilson orders. The Japanese soldiers in the left bunker now understand they're not fighting a standard tank. They traverse their anti-tank gun, trying to get a killing shot before... Too late. Satan II rotates its hull. Peterson adjusts aim, squeezes. Another orange spear. Another bunker filled with fire. Another position that goes from operational to crematorium in 4 seconds. The right bunker's crew abandons their position. They try to escape through the tunnel system that connects all of Kuribayashi's fortifications, the tunnels that were supposed to provide safety and flexibility. Except now, those tunnels are filled with smoke from 2 burning bunkers. Smoke and heat and carbon monoxide that travels through every connecting passage. Soldiers 40 yards away start choking on fumes from a bunker they can't even see. Wilson keys his radio. "Johnson, Green 1 is clear. Bunkers neutralized. Recommend infantry advance with caution. Positions are still smoking." There's a long pause on the radio. "Say again, Charlie 7. Did you say clear?" Affirmative. 3 bunkers, 90 seconds. No friendly casualties. Johnson stares at Green 1 through his binoculars. 3 bunkers that were supposed to require an hour of coordinated assault, cleared in 90 seconds. He can see the smoke still pouring out. "Charlie 7, how many rounds did you expend?" "Main gun, 1 HE round, bow weapon. Approximately 4 seconds of sustained fire." 4 seconds. Johnson looks at his map. Looks at the dozen red circles marking fortified positions between his battalion and the base of Mount Suribachi. Positions that intelligence said would cost 200 casualties to neutralize. "Charlie 7, I'm sending you coordinates for targets Green 2 through Green 8. Welcome to Iwo Jima." By 1600 hours that first day, 8 Flamethrower Shermans have eliminated 34 fortified positions. Not suppressed, not damaged, eliminated. Standard doctrine for bunker assault: 15 to 20 casualties per position. Expected casualties for 34 bunkers: 510 to 680 Marines. Actual casualties to flamethrower tank crews: 0. actual casualties to supporting infantry. 16, mostly from positions the tanks hadn't reached yet. But here's the advantage that went beyond just tactical efficiency: psychological destruction. Kuribayashi's entire defensive plan relied on Japanese soldiers holding positions to the death. No retreat, no surrender. Fight from your bunker until they eliminate you, making them pay in blood for every yard. That doctrine assumed soldiers had fighting positions they believed could protect them: concrete, steel, depth. The flamethrower tanks shattered that assumption. By nightfall of D-Day, reports filter back through the Japanese tunnel network. Reports that make no sense. Bunkers burning from the inside. Positions eliminated without direct assault. American tanks with weapons that reach through firing ports designed to be grenade-proof. In his command bunker, Kuribayashi reviews the reports with growing unease. "How many positions have we lost to this weapon?" he asks. "At least 40, possibly more," his intelligence officer says. The Americans are concentrating them in the southern sector. 40 positions. Gone. In one day. Kuribayashi studies his map. He has 1,500 fortified positions on this island. If the Americans can eliminate 40 per day with these new tanks, he does the math. The terrible math. "Adjust defensive priorities," he orders. "All anti-tank guns target these Sherman variants first, before they close to effective range." His anti-tank gun commander shakes his head. "Sir, they're identical to standard Shermans until they fire. We can't identify them at range." "Then target every Sherman as if it's a flamethrower tank." "Sir, that will require expending our anti-tank ammunition at 3 times the planned rate. We'll run out of—" "Do it!" But it's too late. The Americans already understand what they have. Already know the tactical revolution they've unleashed. That night, Marine Corps leadership on Iwo Jima sends an urgent message to Hawaii. Request immediate deployment of every available flamethrower tank. Current units achieving elimination rates exceeding projections by factor of 12. This weapon is changing the battle. The response comes back 4 hours later. All available units already deployed with your assault. No reserves. Make them count. 8 tanks. 8 crews. 290 gallons of napalm per tank. And 1,460 fortified positions still to go. The math is elegant, brutal, certain. Just not the way Kuribayashi calculated it. February 23, 1945, D+4, 10-20 hours. Mount Suribachi, the volcano that dominates Iwo Jima's southern tip. 556 feet of volcanic rock honeycombed with tunnels and firing positions. The most fortified single position in the Pacific War. Intelligence estimates: 1,300 Japanese defenders, 200 fortified positions. Elimination timeline: 7 to 10 days. The Marines reached the base of Suribachi in 4 days. Because of 8 tanks. Corporal James Headley is exhausted. Satan III has been operating continuously for 92 hours. They sleep in shifts inside the tank. They eat inside the tank. They only leave to refuel and rearm. 290 gallons of napalm lasts approximately 30 minutes of combat use, which means Satan III has gone through 8 complete fuel cycles in 4 days. His loader, Private Danny Ortiz, is slumped against the ammunition rack, asleep. They've learned to sleep through anything. The boom of their own cannon, the clang of small arms fire against armor, even the whoosh roar of the flamethrower igniting. The radio crackles. "All Charlie units, this is Johnson. Mount Suribachi assault commences at 1100 hours. We're putting everything we have into this push. Tank support is critical. Acknowledge." Headley keys the mic. Charlie 3 acknowledges. Satan III ready. Satan I is gone. Took a direct hit from a 120mm mortar 2 days ago. Penetrated the engine deck. The crew evacuated before the napalm tanks cooked off, but the tank is scrap. 7 tanks left. The assault on Suribachi is methodical, brutal, and unlike anything Kurebayashi planned for. The Americans don't send infantry charges. They send flamethrower tanks supported by standard Shermans and half-tracks. The flamethrowers eliminate bunkers. The standard tanks provide covering fire. The infantry only advances after positions are cleared. It's not glorious. It's industrial. It's a production line where the product is neutralized bunkers, and the raw material is napalm. Position 14A. A cave entrance 20 feet wide, 15 feet high, fortified with sandbags and a steel door. Intelligence says 15 soldiers inside with machine guns and grenades. Satan III rolls up to within 120 yards, close enough that they can see the cave entrance clearly, far enough that small arms fire just sparks off the armor. "Main gun, ranging shot," Headley orders. The 75mm barks. The shell detonates against the cave's roof. Rock chips spray. The Japanese inside now know they're under direct fire. Some lean out to return fire. Rifles and light machine guns that accomplish nothing against 3 inches of armor. "Bow operator, you're clear!" The napalm stream lances into the cave entrance. It doesn't need to penetrate deep. Physics does the work. Caves are enclosed spaces. Enclosed spaces with fire create pressure differentials. The napalm ignites, burns, consumes oxygen, creates superheated gases that expand. Those gases have nowhere to go except deeper into the cave. The soldiers 40 feet inside the cave, soldiers who thought they were safe from the flames, die from the pressure wave and heat blast. Their lungs rupture, their clothes ignite from radiant heat. The cave becomes an oven. When the flames die down 20 minutes later, Marines advance to clear the position. One of them vomits. These are men who've seen 3 days of close combat, but this is different. "Don't need to clear it," he tells his sergeant. "Nothing alive in there." The sergeant reports back, "Position 14, A clear. 0 friendly casualties. 15 enemy K1A. Time elapsed, 6 minutes. By 1400 hours, the Americans have eliminated 60 positions on Suribachi's lower slopes. By 1800 hours, they're halfway up. By nightfall, Japanese soldiers are abandoning positions before the tanks can reach them, fleeing deeper into the mountain. But there's nowhere deeper to go. Suribachi isn't a mountain, it's a fortress. And fortresses become tombs when every exit is a kill zone. February the 24th, 0830 hours. Lieutenant Harold Schreier leads a patrol of 40 Marines to Suribachi's summit. They're carrying a flag. They expect resistance, snipers, holdouts, last-stand defenders. They find 3 Japanese soldiers who surrender immediately. At 10:20 hours, they raise the American flag on Suribachi's peak. The iconic photograph happens later. The second flag raising, the bigger flag. But the tactical reality happens now. Suribachi falls in 5 days instead of 10. Casualties are 900 instead of the projected 2,400. Because of 7 tanks. But Kurebayashi isn't finished. He's adjusted, adapted, learned. The same day Suribachi falls, Colonel Kurebayashi issues new orders from his command bunker in the island's northern sector. Tank hunting teams, 20 men per team, armed with satchel charges and magnetic mines. They will allow the tanks to pass infantry positions, then attack from the rear, engine decks and treads. His chief of staff looks worried. "Sir, suicide attacks." Suicide is dying for no purpose. This has purpose. Each tank eliminated saves 10 bunkers. 10 bunkers save 100 soldiers. 100 soldiers extend the battle by days. The math is ugly, but it's sound. February 27th, D+8. Northern Sector, area designated the Meat Grinder by Marines. Satan Pfaff is supporting an advance on a bunker complex when Sergeant Thomas McKee sees movement in his periscope. Not ahead, behind. Infantry, 6 o'clock, 50 yards, he says. Standard procedure. The tank's rear-facing .30 caliber machine gun suppresses. Except these soldiers aren't retreating. They're advancing. Directly at the tank. 20 men. Each one carrying either a satchel charge, canvas bags stuffed with picric acid explosives, or a magnetic anti-tank mine. Gunner, traverse rear, machine gun. The first soldier reaches Satan, 5, slaps a magnetic mine against the engine deck, gets shredded by machine gun fire, but the mine is already placed. Corporal Jose Martinez is in the bow operator position. He can't see behind the tank, can't rotate his flamethrower to target rear threats. How many? He shouts over the intercom. Too many, McKee yells back. Bail out! Bail out! The magnetic mine detonates, blows a hole through the engine deck, doesn't penetrate the crew compartment, but Satan Pfaff carries 240 gallons of pressurized napalm. The explosion creates a spark. One spark, inside a fuel vapor-rich environment. The explosion is visible from 600 yards away. Satan Pfaff's turret lifts 3 feet off its mounting ring before crashing back down. Flames pour from every hatch. The crew never makes it out. 5 dead Marines. 1 eliminated flamethrower tank. Kuribayashi's suicide teams claim 2 more tanks over the next 4 days. Satan 4 and Satan 7. 14 dead Marines total. 5 flamethrower tanks remain. And 800 fortified positions in the northern sector. The Marines adapt. They start providing dedicated infantry screens behind the tanks. Machine gun teams specifically watching for suicide squads. Combat engineers who sweep for mines. But the efficiency drops. Instead of eliminating 40 positions per day, they're managing 25. Instead of 0 casualties, tank crews are taking losses. And the napalm is running out. March 4th, 2 weeks into the battle. The supply situation is critical. Each flamethrower tank requires 290 gallons of napalm per refill. They're averaging 3 refills per day per tank. That's 4,350 gallons per day for 5 tanks. The USS Kishwaukee, the supply ship carrying napalm reserves, took a kamikaze hit on March 2nd. Half the napalm stores are gone, contaminated with seawater, unusable. The remaining 5 tanks are operating on rationed fuel. Instead of 80-second continuous burns, they're limited to 40-second bursts. Instead of engaging every fortified position, they're prioritizing only the positions that are stopping advances. Lieutenant Colonel Justice Chambers, now commanding in the northern sector, studies the map with desperation. How long can we sustain operations? He asks the logistics officer. 4 days, maybe 5 if we ration strictly. Intelligence says 600 positions left in the north, at current elimination rates. The math doesn't work. They'll run out of napalm before they run out of bunkers. Alternative options? Chambers asks. Standard assault doctrine, infantry and engineers, satchel charges and grenades. Casualty projections? 4,000, maybe more. Chambers looks at the map, looks at the 5 remaining tank icons marked with red devils. 5 tanks that have saved thousands of lives. 5 tanks that are about to run dry. Prioritize the tanks for pillboxes and cave systems only, he orders. Infantry handles everything else. And get me a direct line to Hawaii. We need more napalm, and we need it 3 days ago. The response from Hawaii is brutal in its simplicity. No napalm reserves available. Earliest resupply, March 12th. Make what you have last. March 12th is 8 days away. The battle for Iwo Jima is projected to last another 2 weeks. 5 tanks. Limited fuel. 600 fortified positions. The math is elegant. Brutal. Certain. And for the first time since D-Day, the Americans aren't sure they can win it. Satan II is down to its last full load of napalm. Staff Sergeant Robert Wilson knows because he personally supervised the refueling at 0530 hours. Watched the fuel handlers pour in exactly 290 gallons. Watched them seal the tanks with the kind of reverence you'd reserve for loading the last bullets in a besieged fort. "This is it," the fuel handler said. "After this, you're dry until resupply. If resupply comes." Wilson's mission today: Hill 382, the highest point in Iwo Jima's northern sector. Honeycombed with so many tunnels and bunkers that Marines have stopped trying to count them. They just call it Turkey Knob, and accept that taking it means dying in large numbers. 47 separate positions identified on Hill 382. Satan II has enough napalm for maybe 20 sustained burns. The math doesn't work. Wilson's radio crackles. "Charlie 2, this is Chambers. I know your fuel situation. I'm asking you to make impossible choices today. Prioritize positions that are stopping the advance. Let infantry handle the rest. Acknowledge." Charlie 2 acknowledges, "We'll make every gallon count." The assault begins at 700 hours. Infantry advances under covering fire from artillery and standard Shermans. They make it 40 yards before a machine gun position designated Turkey 7 opens up. 3 Marines drop in the first burst. Wilson sees it through his periscope. Turkey 7 is a reinforced pillbox built into Hill 382's slope. Concrete and steel. Firing port positioned to sweep the entire approach. Standard doctrine: suppress with rifle fire. Send engineers with satchel charges. Hope they make it within throwing range. Average casualty cost: 12 Marines. Bow operator, you see Turkey 7? Affirmative. Range 140 yards. Angle is rough. It's dug into the slope. How much fuel for that shot? 3-second burst. Maybe 4 to ensure penetration. 4 seconds. Out of their last 290 gallons. 4 seconds that could take out a position, or could be wasted if the angle's wrong. Wilson makes the call. Engage. The napalm stream arcs upward, compensating for the slope angle. It punches through Turkey 7's firing port. The bunker belches flame. Marines advance past it 90 seconds later. 1 position down. 4 seconds of napalm gone. 46 positions to go. By 10:30 hours, Satan II has eliminated 7 positions. Each one cost between 3 and 6 seconds of fuel. They're at half capacity. Position Turkey 15 changes everything. It's not a bunker. It's a cave entrance, 30 feet wide, carved deep into Hill 382. Intelligence says it's a major tunnel nexus, possibly connecting to a dozen other positions. Eliminating it could collapse Japanese lines across this entire sector, or it could be a waste of their remaining fuel. Wilson studies it through the periscope. Marines are pinned down 80 yards from the entrance. Machine gun and rifle fire pouring out of that cave. 2 Marines already down. Bow operator, assessment. Corporal Peterson calculates. That cave goes deep. We'd need a sustained burn, 15, maybe 20 seconds, to generate enough heat and pressure to clear it. That's half our remaining fuel. How sure are you it'll work? 70%, maybe 60 if the cave has ventilation shafts we can't see. Wilson keys his radio. Chambers, Charlie 2, I need a decision. We've got a major cave system at Turkey 15. Could be a nexus point. Could take 20 seconds of fuel to clear. That's half our remaining capacity. Your call? There's a long pause. Wilson imagines Chambers in the command post, staring at maps, calculating odds, weighing American lives against gallons of jellied gasoline. Charlie 2, execute. If that cave is a nexus, it's worth it. Copy. Engaging Turkey 15. Sich Tito. Satan 2 advances to 110 yards. The cave's machine guns focus on the Sherman, bullets sparking off armor in bright little starbursts that accomplish nothing except making noise. On my mark, Wilson says. Full sustained burn. Count it down for me. Ready? Peterson says. Mark. The napalm stream erupts. It's not a spear this time. It's a river. A stream of burning liquid that pours into that cave entrance like water from a fire hose. 5 seconds. Napalm splashing against the cave's interior. 10 seconds. The cave entrance is solid flame. Black smoke starting to pour out. 15 seconds. Peterson's counting over the intercom. 14. 15. 20 seconds. 19, 20. Cutting flow. The flamethrower stops. The cave entrance is an inferno. Flames licking out. Smoke thick enough to be solid. And then, from deep inside Hill 382, something rumbles. Did you feel that? Gonzalez asks from the driver's seat. They all felt it. A vibration through the ground. A subsonic rumble like distant thunder. From cave entrances 60 yards away, caves that weren't even targeted, smoke begins pouring out. Then flames. Then Japanese soldiers, staggering, choking, clothes on fire. Peterson was right. Turkey 15 was a nexus, and the napalm's heat traveled through every connected tunnel, every connected bunker, every connected fighting position in that section of Hill 382. 20 seconds of fuel eliminated an entire network. Marines advance through positions that are still smoking. They find bunkers full of bodies, soldiers who died from heat, and smoke inhalation 40 yards from where the napalm hit. The tunnel system that was supposed to provide safety and mobility became a gas chamber. By 1400 hours, Hill 382's eastern slope is in American hands. Casualties, 47 Marines. Expected casualties for that objective, 280. But Satan 2 is nearly empty. Maybe 2 sustained burns left. Maybe. Charlie 2, we're done. Wilson reports. Fuel critical. Requesting permission to withdraw for... Negative, Charlie 2. Chambers interrupts. I need you forward. Hill 362A just opened up. 3 pillboxes stopping the entire advance. You're the closest asset. Sir, we've got maybe 2 shots left. Then make them count. Chambers out. Hill 362A. 3 pillboxes in a triangular formation. The same formation Wilson saw on D-Day at Green 1. The formation that took 90 seconds to eliminate when they had full fuel tanks. Now they've got enough fuel for maybe 2 positions. The math doesn't work. Unless... Gunner, Wilson says, load an HE round. We're going to do this different. The approach is simple. Stupid, brilliant. Satan 2 advances on the pillbox triangle. The main gun targets the leftmost pillbox, not to eliminate it, but to crack its facade. The 75mm HE round detonates against reinforced concrete, blowing a fist-sized hole through the wall. Not enough to neutralize the position, just enough to compromise its integrity. Bow operator, left pillbox, 3-second burst. Aim for that crack. The napalm stream shoots through the damaged wall, not through the firing port, through the breach the HE round created. The napalm floods inside. The pillbox erupts. 1 position down, 1 burst left. The center pillbox's crew sees what's happening. They're traversing their machine gun towards Satan II when Wilson's gunner puts another HE round into their facade. Another crack. Another breach. Center pillbox. Final burst. Peterson squeezes the trigger. The last of Satan II's napalm pours through the crack. The center pillbox ignites. 2 positions down. 0 napalm remaining. The third pillbox is intact, undamaged. Its crew is now fully aware they're facing a flamethrower tank. They're aiming everything they have at Satan II. Wilson has no napalm, but he still has a 75mm cannon. And he still has a Sherman tank that weighs 30 tons. Driver, advance directly at right pillbox. Gunner, load HE, fire at will. Gonzalez floors the throttle. The Sherman accelerates. Not fast, 25 miles per hour maximum, but when you're 30 tons of steel, that's plenty fast enough. The third pillbox pours machine gun fire at Satan II. Bullets sparking, ricocheting, accomplishing nothing. Sherman's main gun fires once, twice, 3 times. HE rounds slamming into the pillbox's facade at point-blank range. The concrete cracks, crumbles. Satan II doesn't stop. It rolls over the pillbox's position. 30 tons of Sherman tank crushing the reinforced structure, grinding it into the volcanic soil. When Satan II reverses, the pillbox is rubble. Chambers, Charlie 2, Hill 362A clear. 3 pillboxes eliminated. We are Winchester, 0 fuel remaining, requesting permission to withdraw. Permission granted, Charlie 2. Hell of a job, hell of a job. Satan II limps back to the rear area at 1620 hours. They've been operating for 10 hours straight. They eliminated 14 fortified positions. They're out of fuel. And the battle isn't over. 4 flamethrower tanks remain. The northern sector still holds 400-plus fortified positions. Napalm resupply is still 5 days away. But here's what Kuribayashi realizes that night, in his command bunker, reviewing casualty reports and position losses. The Americans don't need to eliminate every bunker. They just need to eliminate the bunkers that matter. The ones anchoring defensive lines. The ones stopping advances. The nexus points that connect networks. And those 8 tanks, now 4, have been systematically identifying and destroying exactly those positions. Not randomly, not wastefully, surgically. His fortress island, his mathematical certainty, is being dismantled with industrial precision. How many positions have we lost to the flamethrower tanks? He asks. His staff officer checks the log. 260 confirmed. Possibly more. 260 positions. Out of 1,500. Less than 20%. But those 260 positions were the critical 20%. The bunkers protecting water supplies. The pillboxes commanding key terrain. The cave networks connecting sectors. Kuribayashi does the math. The terrible final math. We've lost, he says quietly. Sir? Not the battle. We'll fight to the end. But the equation is lost. They've changed the mathematics of island warfare. His staff officers stand silent. Send final orders to all sector commanders. Kuribayashi continues. No more large-scale counterattacks. No more suicide charges. Conserve our forces. Make them pay for every yard. But understand, the Americans will take this island. The only question is how long we can make it last. On March 26th, 36 days after the invasion began, Iwo Jima is declared secure. The battle actually continues for months. Isolated holdouts in caves and tunnels, fighting until ammunition and supplies run out. Final casualties. 6,821 Americans killed. 19,217 wounded. All but 216 of the 21,000 Japanese defenders are eliminated or take their own lives. Without the flamethrower tanks, Marine Corps projections estimated 12,000 killed and 30,000 wounded. 8 tanks saved 5,200 American lives. 5 of those tanks were destroyed in combat. 3 survived. Satan II returned to Pearl Harbor in April 1945. The crew transferred to prepare for the invasion of Japan, an invasion that never happened because 2 atomic bombs convinced Japan to surrender. But here's the legacy that matters. The flamethrower tanks of Iwo Jima proved a concept that changed modern warfare. Bunkers and fortified positions, the dominant defensive technology since World War I, could be neutralized without suicidal infantry assaults. The U.S. military produced 800 more flamethrower tanks before war's end. They were deployed in Okinawa, in Germany, in Korea. The concept evolved into the modern armored flamethrower, the mine-clearing vehicle, the breaching system. All because a 28-year-old lieutenant in a Hawaii depot looked at a broken tank and a Navy flamethrower and asked, "What if?" August 1945, Pearl Harbor Naval Depot. Richard Flam stands in the same depot where he built the prototype Satan 20 months earlier. He's been promoted to major. He's received a Bronze Star for his innovation. He's been asked to brief the Armored Warfare Board on flamethrower tank development for the post-war military. None of it feels real. What feels real is the letter in his pocket. From Staff Sergeant Robert Wilson, Satan II's commander. Written 2 weeks after Iwo Jima was declared secure. The letter says, "I don't know if anyone told you this, so I'm telling you myself. 23 Marines are alive today because my tank eliminated bunkers they would have had to assault. I watched them hug their families when we got back to Pearl Harbor. One of them has a baby daughter he'd never met. She's 3 months old. Her name is Sarah. She exists because you welded a flamethrower into a Sherman tank. Thank you." Flam keeps reading that letter. 23 Marines, 1 tank. Multiply that across 8 tanks, across 260 fortified positions, across 36 days of combat. The math is staggering. But here's what haunts Flam. He almost didn't build it. The project was deemed too dangerous, too experimental. The initial safety review recommended cancellation. If Major Turton hadn't pushed, if the Iwo Jima invasion had been scheduled 1 month earlier before the tanks were ready, how many more would have died? History pivots on moments like these. Moments where one person asks, "What if?" instead of accepting, "It can't be done." Kuribayashi understood mathematics. He calculated every variable: concrete thickness, tunnel depth, firing angles, casualty ratios. His fortress was theoretically perfect. But mathematics can't account for innovation, can't predict that some lieutenant in Hawaii would create a weapon that changed the equation. Kuribayashi died on Iwo Jima. Final records suggest he led a last suicidal attack on American positions in late March 1945. His body was never found. His command bunker was discovered in 2007 to 11 feet of reinforced concrete, buried deep underground, exactly as he designed it. Still standing, still intact, completely irrelevant. Because the Americans didn't try to crack it with conventional weapons. They sealed the entrances and moved on. Let the occupants suffocate or surrender. The fortress became a tomb, just like Flam's weapon predicted. The flamethrower tanks weren't invincible. 5 were destroyed. 19 crewmen died. Each one of them volunteered to sit inside a pressurized bomb because they believed it would save infantry lives. They were right. Today, military historians study Iwo Jima as the turning point in amphibious assault doctrine. The battle where fortified positions stopped being force multipliers and became death traps, where concrete and steel lost to innovation and napalm. The last surviving flamethrower Sherman from Iwo Jima, Satan VI, sits in the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Virginia. Restored, pristine, a red devil painted on its hull. Visitors walk past it without knowing what it represents. They see an old tank. They don't see the 5,200 lives it saved. Don't see the fortress island it helped conquer. Don't see the mathematical certainty it shattered. In 2003, a Japanese veteran named Toshio Yamada returned to Iwo Jima for a memorial ceremony. He'd been a 19-year-old private in 1945, stationed in one of Kuribayashi's fortified positions. He survived because his bunker was in a secondary sector, a sector the flamethrower tanks never reached. The Americans took it with conventional assault, grenades and satchel charges. He was wounded, captured, repatriated after the war. A reporter asked him, "What was the most terrifying weapon you faced?" Yamada didn't hesitate. The tank with fire. We called it Karyū, Fire Dragon. When you heard it was coming, you knew your bunker wouldn't save you. The concrete we trusted became our crematorium. That's what broke us. Not the bombs, not the guns, the fire that reached through walls. That's the legacy, not the technical specifications, not the kill counts, the psychological shift. The moment soldiers realized that fortifications, the technology that dominated a warfare for 30 years, could be defeated, could be turned against them, could transform from sanctuary to oven in 4 seconds. Everything changed. And it changed because 8 tanks, built by a lieutenant who was supposed to be scrapping damaged vehicles, asked a simple question: what if we could reach through walls? The answer burned through 260 fortified positions and saved thousands of lives. Colonel Tadamichi Kuribayashi made one mistake. He assumed his enemy would fight the previous war, would use the previous tactics, would accept the previous mathematics. Richard Flam's genius was refusing to accept any of that. Innovation doesn't care about your calculations, doesn't respect your concrete, doesn't acknowledge your mathematical certainty. It just burns through it at 2,000 degrees and moves on to the next impossible problem. That's the lesson of Iwo Jima. Not heroism, not sacrifice, not even victory. Just this: the future belongs to people who refuse to accept that the equation is fixed. 8 tanks proved it. And fortress warfare never recovered. He calculated every variable: concrete thickness, tunnel depth, firing angles, casualty ratios. His fortress was theoretically perfect. But mathematics can't account for innovation, can't predict that some lieutenant in Hawaii would create a weapon that changed the equation. Kuribayashi died on Iwo Jima. Final records suggest he led a last suicidal attack on the American positions in late March 1945. His body was never found. His command bunker was discovered in 2007. 11 feet of reinforced concrete, buried deep underground, exactly as he designed it. Still standing, still intact, completely irrelevant. Because the Americans didn't try to crack it with conventional weapons. They sealed the entrances and moved on. Let the occupants suffocate or surrender. The fortress became a tomb, just like Flam's weapon predicted. The flamethrower tanks weren't invincible. 5 were destroyed. 19 crewmen died. Each one of them volunteered to sit inside a pressurized bomb because they believed it would save infantry lives. They were right. Today, military historians study Iwo Jima as the turning point in amphibious assault doctrine. The battle where fortified positions stopped being force multipliers and became death traps, where concrete and steel lost to innovation and napalm. The last surviving flamethrower Sherman from Iwo Jima, Satan VI, sits in the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Virginia. Restored, pristine, a red devil painted on its hull. Visitors walk past it without knowing what it represents. They see an old tank. They don't see the 5,200 lives it saved. Don't see the fortress island it helped conquer. Don't see the mathematical certainty it shattered. In 2003, a Japanese veteran named Toshio Yamada returned to Iwo Jima for a memorial ceremony. He'd been a 19-year-old private in 1945, stationed in one of Kuribayashi's fortified positions. He survived because his bunker was in a secondary sector, a sector the flamethrower tanks never reached. The Americans took it with conventional assault, grenades and satchel charges. He was wounded, captured, repatriated after the war. A reporter asked him, "What was the most terrifying weapon you faced?" Yamada didn't hesitate. "The tank with fire. We called it Karyū, Fire Dragon. When you heard it was coming, you knew your bunker wouldn't save you. The concrete we trusted became our crematorium. That's what broke us. Not the bombs, not the guns, the fire that reached through walls. That's the legacy, not the technical specifications, not the kill counts, the psychological shift. The moment soldiers realized that fortifications, the technology that dominated warfare for 30 years, could be defeated, could be turned against them, could transform from sanctuary to oven in 4 seconds. Everything changed. And it changed because 8 tanks, built by a lieutenant who was supposed to be scrapping damaged vehicles, asked a simple question: what if we could reach through walls? The answer burned through 260 fortified positions and saved thousands of lives. Colonel Tadamichi Kuribayashi made one mistake. He assumed his enemy would fight the previous war, would use the previous tactics, would accept the previous mathematics. Richard Flam's genius was refusing to accept any of that. Innovation doesn't care about your calculations, doesn't respect your concrete, doesn't acknowledge your mathematical certainty. It just burns through it at 2,000 degrees and moves on to the next impossible problem. That's the lesson of Iwo Jima. Not heroism, not sacrifice, not even victory. Just this: the future belongs to people who refuse to accept that the equation is fixed. 8 tanks proved it. And fortress warfare never recovered.